This one's a 2013 Arctic Cat Wildcat 1000. Picked it up from the dealership. So the dealership said they've had this for a couple months. They've been trying to diagnose it, and they said right now it fires up but has no power, bogs, and sometimes shuts off at idle.
Full throttle.
Alright, that pipe is hot. Oh, that pipe is cold. So that's the front cylinder. It's not running on the front cylinder. I think. It's pretty black. I'd say that's a pretty good spark. Hey, we have enough compression. Holy cow. There we go. There we go. Okay, now it's squirting good. Injector's working, spark is working, has compression. Has to be timing. Bunch of oil. Alright, covers off. The cam is timed correctly, except the lobes are pointing up. So that means we're 180 out. The lobe should be pointing down at top dead center. So what we're gonna do is time this up correctly. Well, here we go, moment of truth. Let's try to fire it up, see if it runs on both cylinders here. She's running on both cylinders. That pipe is hot. That pipe is hot. All right, we're back with part 2 on the 2013 Arctic Cat Wildcat 1000. If you guys missed the last video on this one, we picked this one up from the dealership. The dealership said they had this thing about 2 months, and it was having some weird issues. It would not idle, it was underpowered, would bog down, and would barely move. They said they couldn't figure it out. They checked everything, put new plugs in it, did the whole workaround on it, and they ended up selling it to me for $3,000. I got back home and we started diagnosing it. I found out right away it was only running on one cylinder. The pipe here, coming from the front cylinder, was super cold. So that's how I knew it was only running on the rear cylinder. This pipe here was hot. So we started diagnosing it, and we found it had good spark, had good compression, and the fuel injector was squirting on it just fine. So that left pretty much the only issue it could be was timing. So we checked the timing, and we found that the timing was actually 180 out. So we adjusted the timing, and this thing actually fired up for the first time in 2 months on both cylinders. And it was running pretty good. We actually got the cooling system blood as well, and that is now circulating as well. The only thing we were having issues with was the idle. Right now, the idle is extremely high. So we're gonna try to figure that out today, and hopefully it's not the TPS, the throttle position sensor. I know those can go bad on here. We'll start digging into it. The goal for today is to get everything back together on this thing, and hopefully take it for the first ride. All right, so here is the throttle body. Gotta take off that cap. See if that goes back at all if we adjust it. there's an adjustment here, and you can see the screw is pretty far out. So maybe that butterfly is not coming all the way back. So we're gonna slack that up and see if this comes up a little bit. Well, that was definitely not it. So, wonder if it's the throttle position sensor, which would be on the other side. Well, it looks like there's a little screw right here that actually acts as like the stopper for the butterfly valve here. So I think if we loosen that up, this should go back more. Let's try that. That's gotta be it, right? Let's loosen that up just a little bit. All right, so that screw only turns out like 2 turns and then it bottoms out. So I don't think it's that screw. I cut a little slit in it and we can't get that screw to come out any more than that. So we adjusted it all the way out. I noticed that there's a little gap here on the intake. We tried tightening the bolts and that's not sucking that gap in closer. There could be a gasket in there, but what I thought was weird was the other side, you can see, is completely shut. So there's no gap there on that side, but there is on that one. So let's try to fire it up and see if there's an air leak there. Let's see what this thing sounds like today. Way down. Sounds pretty good now. Look at that. Going way down when you spray that. Yeah, there's an air leak right there. I almost can get this thing to shut off. Oh, yep. You see it squirt out of there? Well, looks like we found our problem. That is where the air leak is. So that gap right there is not supposed to be there. I'm guessing it was missing a gasket or something. So I think we've got some gasket paper. We can make a new one, or just put some gasket maker on there. But you could see I was squirting brake cleaner in there, and it was idling really, really low. And it actually shut off the machine. It was idling so low. And then when this thing shut off, it sprayed fuel through there. So yeah, that is definitely not supposed to be a gap there. Trying to get this off. About stripping it out. Alright, looks like we've got to take everything off, even the other side. Alright, I'm coming in here trying to get the intake off on this side. The air filter had to come off, a ton of other stuff had to come off, and we finally got to it. And of course it's stripped out, so I had to cut it, use a screwdriver, use a hammer, pound that screw out. Finally, I think we finally got it. So, oh man, I'm telling you, this machine is by far the worst one I've ever worked on. It's horrible to get the stuff. That's the one we were looking for. Make it impossible to work on. All right, now the whole intake can come out. Yeah, as you can see, there's supposed to be an O-ring in there, completely missing. See that? So that's why there was a big air leak. There's an O-ring. Yep, there's the O-ring on the other side. That one came out. All right. So that's what was supposed to be in there. This one's all burnt too. Look at that. We're gonna try to find a couple other O-rings that size and put those in there. But at least we found the problem. All right, we found a new O-ring. Let's see if that fits. Oh, that's perfect. All right, that fits perfectly. All right, finally got everything back together. We've got the new O-ring in there and a new one in there, so we shouldn't have an air leak now. So let's fire this thing back up and see how it idles. Well, that's idling a lot lower. I think we found our problem. That sounds a little better. Well, I'm pretty happy with that. Sounding really good. Yep, it's running on both cylinders. All right, well, we got that problem fixed. That is awesome. Comes right back down to idle. So it was that air leak by the intake all along, missing that O-ring. Well, that was an easy fix. Let's move on to the next one. All right, before we put everything back on, all the plastics, the bed, everything, we're just gonna make sure that the cooling system's working. That line is getting hot. That one's getting hot. So cooling is circulating. Not overheating at all. Looking pretty good. Consistently at like 1300 RPMs. Engine sounds really good. No leaking at all. So far so good. Let this run for a little bit longer. Yeah, I'm liking that. I think this one's fixed. Sounds pretty darn good. Not bad. Alright, we'll let this idle for a little bit longer. That line's getting nice and hot now. I'd like to see if the fans turn on. I don't think we have a temp gauge on here at all. It's kind of hard to tell, but all right, we can start putting everything back together now. All right, seats can go back in. All right, then that gets bolted from the bottom. All right, this thing's finally back together, looking pretty good. Everything's bolted down. So, let's see if she fires up here. Still have to get the door on this side, but yeah, sounds pretty good. All right, going around, checking the CV axles, make sure those are tight. That one feels good. That one feels nice and tight. Let's go ahead and check the front. Make sure they're good here. Yeah, that one feels good. And that one feels good. So all the CV axles are good. Let's check the diff fluid. Make sure that's gonna be good. So the fill cap is right here. We want the fluid to be right at the bottom of the threads. See if there's anything in there. Looks like there's already fluid coming out. Yep, you can see it pouring out. So that is topped off. That looks perfect. Definitely enough fluid in there. All right, the front bolt is right there with the white mark on it. See if we can Sneak in there and get that. Kind of see it through here. Looks like a tricky position here. Alright. We got her. Let's see if anything comes out of here. That one's a little drier. There. I'm not seeing any fluid in there at all. Oh yeah. It's right there. Yeah, there's oil in it. So it's just a little bit low. We're just going to top that off. Looking pretty good. Alright, this thing's running great. The fan just came on and turned off, so that's good. So cooling system's working good. No codes, no overheating, idling good. Happy the fan came on. Not smoking it all in there. Cool. Everything's working as it should. doing, buddy? Come here. Come here. Hi. What you doing? Wanna see? You don't like it? Alright, the bed back here isn't very big. We're gonna try going out in the ice, do a little fishing, but it's not gonna carry a whole lot. I don't think we can fit the sled in there, so let's just pick and choose a couple things we can take. On our Markham. I might put the... We might be able to strap that down. Yeah, I might put like a bungee cord on it. Huh, that's not too small. Can hold quite a bit. So let's go head out in the ice. It's been pretty warm the last couple days. Hopefully the ice can still hold this thing. We'll see. Alright, we made it out here. A couple other people out here, looks like. Shack there, one over there. Heading to a new spot here. Four-wheel drive's working good. We didn't catch anything, but it was still fun to get out and do a little fishing with the UTV. But yeah, this one's running great. 4x4 is working, all the lights are working, idle's good, goes through low, high, park, and reverse just fine. No issues there. This thing's pretty fast. We took it to the land and gave it a couple top speed runs, and it gets moving pretty good. But we're gonna quick check the oil one last time, make sure that's good to go. Make sure it's not milky. It's probably pretty hot, yeah. Perfectly clear. Awesome. So we don't have a problem with the water pump seals or the head gasket. And we're right at the full mark. You can see. So oil is staying good. Well, this one's all fixed up, ready to go. Everything is now working on it. We got rid of the bogging, we got rid of the low power. This thing now goes full speed, and we got rid of the high idle. So everything that the dealership couldn't fix, we ended up fixing, which is awesome. When we first picked this thing up for $3,000, I thought for sure the engine was gonna have to come out of the frame and we have to do a rebuild, but this one turned out to be pretty good. Pretty simple fix, being the timing and the intake leak we had to fix. But other than that, this one's good to go. One part we have to order up is for the door. It's missing the metal bracket that holds it on right here. But other than that, she's 100% complete. And this one's actually looking really clean. We got this pressure washed, and I mean, it's pretty nice for $3,000. We didn't have to put any money into it, only time. So that was pretty good. Oh, and the 4x4 is working. Out in the ice, we tested it, and it worked flawlessly. So now we've got this one, and we've got 3 other ones out here. We've got the Odes, the Polaris 900, the Razor, and the Z-Force 800. So we now have 4 UTVs in all perfect running condition. So we're kind of running out of space. I'm hoping to build a big building here in the spring so we can store everything in there. That way we can clear out the garage, get this all organized, and get some more machines in. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this one, picking it up for $3,000 from the dealership, diagnosing it, finding out that it was a timing issue and an intake leak causing all of our issues, getting it to start up for the first time, and then taking it for the first real ride. This one I'm pretty happy with, and I think we got a pretty good deal. So thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for subscribing. Stay tuned for next video, and until next time, we are out.